Howdy folks, Tex here. Welcome to Southern Belle Bigfoot. Let me introduce y'all to a great friend of mine, Selena.
Hey y'all, I'm Selena. I started this channel because I had my own encounter, and I know what it's like to be ridiculed and unable to share my experiences. I want to give everyone a safe haven to share their encounters with these magnificent beings. I love to hear yours as well. Please email them to me at cwlenagarrett@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support me in my journey to the truth, my Cash App is $ Selena Bigfoot, and I look forward to hearing from you. Hey, everybody. I'm trying to punch in I love y'all. If I could see, text reminds me, Selena, pick up your glasses. There we go. Oh, my gosh, just in case y'all forget, this is to every single person in chat.
So we have got a great show for you tonight. You know what? And me and Selena have known each other for what 6 months now?
A little longer than that, about 8.
About 8 months now. And I don't know what it is about me hooking up with these beautiful Alabama women. I don't understand what it is. But it's, I've got Anita, and now Selena. And I'm telling you, if I ain't going to get in trouble, if I don't get in trouble this way, ain't no way I'm going to ever be in trouble. But this is actually the first time, and they live right down the road from each other, and they're always talking about, I need somebody from Alabama to go. I need somebody from Alabama to go. Well, maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe this is why it brought us all together. But for the first time ever, they're going to officially meet tonight because they've never met, and we're going to hook them up is what we're going to do. We're going to hook them up. And, of course, me and Anita, we've known each other for, golly. Let me get her up here. She'll correct me. 4 years, 5 years?
About 4 years. I don't know. Something like that.
Good God. Yeah, because this is your 4th conference you're putting on.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
and we met a year before the conference.
About 4.5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Because we were the loud, rambunctious bunch at, or you and I were.
Yeah,
at,
we were.
Bigfoot conference in Jefferson, Texas, and everybody was saying shh, shh, shh.
Yeah.
Lyle Blackburn was giving us dirty looks, saying and wanting us to be quiet because he was up there speaking.
And that's not a moment I'm proud of as far as my behavior goes because it was rude. But
I know, but it sure was fun.
Well, yeah, that's what it was.
Well, I'm so glad to meet you, Anita. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me tonight. I'm just kind of kooky and having hot flashes today, so I'm good. And because you were brave enough to put your glasses on, I'm putting mine on.
Yes, and you'll see me once in a while because it gets so blurry. I can't see anything or anybody. So happy Easter to everybody in chat. I love you all so much. Y'all know that. You know my email if you want to reach out. And before we get started on Anita, I have a very differing called Lanita. So you might even hear me make a blooper. But her name is Anita Collier. And I'm going to let her tell a little bit about herself and how she became to even know that these things exist. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Anita.
Well, actually, a long time ago when I was a little girl, I knew about them, but I didn't know about them. I didn't know they existed, actually. My granddad used to tell us stories, or my pawpaw, as we called him, used to tell us stories about the hairy man and how they would see him in the mountains where they lived. They lived on the Clay County side of the Keehaw Mountain, and we're at the base. That's about 10 miles from me, and we're at the base of the start of the Appalachian Mountain chain, and so. We've seen that's where my first sighting was. And until later, I didn't put that connection together that he was telling us stories about Bigfoot. He and his brother used to play all day they were the younger siblings. They used to play all day out in the woods in the woods on the mountain. and they would see the hairy man. He would scare them home at night when they wouldn't go home in the dark, and they would see him down the trail as they were out hiking. They would see him down the trail from them, and I had no idea that he meant Bigfoot. But actually, I had first sighting on Keehaw on a different place called Bald Rock, because it looks like a bald place on the side of the mountain. And when we went up there, I went up there with a guy on a date, and it was the middle of the week, October 1979. And I'm gonna tell you, there were very few people that went out there during the week. It was mostly on the weekends. It was a weekend kind of place, and that people go out hiking. Had to do about a 2-mile hike out to the Bald Rock. And you could climb all over the rocks. And then there was a field that you looked out on from the rocks, and you could see the valley, and you could see Oxford a little bit. Not a lot then, but it's built up and you can see it a lot now.
So you're not far from me at all, actually.
You're in Gadsden, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just in Oxford, so.
Wow. Okay, good.
We're not far. I'm going to get out my door and I can yell at you and say, "Hey, Selena!" So anyway, but we were up there, and we got tired, and we just went up on the top of the rock, and we're sitting, and like any red-blooded American male, he leaned me back on the rock and tried to get him a kiss or whatever he was going for. And he all of a sudden we got these little pebbles hitting us, little tiny pebbles, and pine cones hitting us. And the pine cones are smaller up on the top of the mountain. And they were hitting us are hitting him. I don't think any of them hit me, but they were hitting him like in the back, because he was like this with them coming from his rear flank. And then he looked up, and we looked up, sat up, and nobody was up there. Like I said, not many people came up there during the week. And so he thought he'd try again. Look at Tex. He knows. Anyway,
I'm biting my tongue over here.
He's being real quiet and real good for a change. And anyway, and he laid me back on the rock, and he started to get a kiss, and all of a sudden we had little bigger pebbles, rocks hitting us with pine cones and twigs, and we set up and kind of scooted off the rock. Then you could just drop down onto the bank right below the rock. It wasn't that far of a drop, and I was a lot younger then. And we went out on like where the cliff dropped down. It's about a 30-foot drop off there. And the field had grass, tall grass and saplings growing up in it. And this thing was about 50, 60 probably feet, maybe a little more than that, out from the cliff. And I was freaking out. I was saying, let's go. And he was a reporter, and he said, "No, I want to see this. And out of respect, I don't mention his name, because I promised him I never would. And I'm not going to disrespect him now, even though he's passed away. But he wanted to stay and sit, and I was saying, no, I want to go. And after that, I really was scared, because I thought this thing was going to track me 10 miles to my house. And I didn't live that far from Keehaw, and they can track, but it was, it was not a bear. I know that. I mean, it was not a bear. It was nothing like I had ever seen. And the stories about the hairy man did not even come into my mind. I was just scared. It was probably about 5 or 6 feet tall. I could not see the facial features real good, but, it was more human looking in the face than like monkey. Long arms, brownish, like kind of reddish brown hair. A little darker than mine. And it didn't seem to be bothered by us. It was just looking at us. And then in about probably a minute, it seemed like forever, but which I've heard people say that before, but it did. It seemed like forever. It seemed like 20, 30 minutes. But 1 or 2 minutes, and this thing just turned around and went, lumbered off, just walked off and went to the woods behind it. And we didn't see it again. And we went to the car, but he made me promise, don't you ever say anything about this to anybody, because at that time you were labeled crazy if you said you saw a Bigfoot, and you know what I'm saying. So and that wasn't until later to where people would halfway believe you.
Well, Anita, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is why I wanted you to tell people what you did for a living, because I want people to see that this woman knows the human body and everything about the human body.
I have just retired from being a nurse for 30 to 33 years. So I've been a nurse and I've assessed patients in every way. I was a hospice nurse for 7 years. I was a general nurse for a long time, dialysis nurse. I know the body, and I know, that this was a bipedal, and I could describe it in medical terms, but and you could see it was not someone in a suit, because it was skin, it was not a suit.
And that's what impresses me about you, is that you could look at me and text and the rest of chat and tell people eye to eye, I know the human body, I know the anatomy like a book, and I can tell you, excuse me, that this thing is not a human standing there in a costume. So
It was not, definitely not. And like I said, for years I stayed scared. I did not tell anybody, because, and it's about 4 or 5 years ago, that I started telling, I started talking first to Ken Gerhardt online, and Cliff Barrettman, and a couple of other people that I knew were at least reputable. By reputation, they were good researchers, and nearly every one of them said, well, pick a conference and go to a conference and start learning more about what you have seen, and tell your story. As if they all said, tell your story. So that's what I've been doing ever since, and I've had so much more experiences since then with different things, and I am so glad that I have something to retire to. Researching
your hair. Thank you, Anita, so much. I can't wait to hear the rest of it, and I appreciate you coming on. I was thinking the first person when my sighting happened, and I've only had one sighting, is I called the first person I come across on YouTube. I punched in, and Duke Sullivan, World Bigfoot Central. I didn't even know text then, so I just punched in World Bigfoot Central. Or I punched in Bigfoot sighting, and it brought up Duke Sullivan from World Bigfoot Central. But I now, of course, like I said, no text and several others. So you reached out to Ken Gerhardt. That was the first person you contacted?
Yes, and he's been a quote as researcher or a cryptozoologist for a long time, and so I knew that I had been reading a lot of his things just to find out what I saw. But and one thing I did not tell you in the story of how we saw when we saw that before when we were hiking out there. Now there's all kinds of handicap accessible ramps and things like that all the way out, walkways all the way out. But then you had to hike out 2 miles to the rock from the parking area, and so it was wooded area, and we kept smelling something. And we both commented. I remember we commented about something being dead. I guess something had died, and it was a dead smell with a musty smell.
I asked you what it smelled like to you.
Dead animal with a musty smell. I guess a mossy, musty smell. And so I'm thinking that now that I know just a little bit, and I'm no expert by all means, but just putting 2 and 2 together, I think they were juvenile, and I think juveniles, and I think one of them was on the cliff and one of them was down below.
And you taught them to kiss. So now we know who taught Bigfoot to kiss.
Well, no, that guy never got that kiss. He tried twice and he never got it.
That's a funny story. Oh, Lord mercy. Well, tell me some more about your other experiences.
Well, we had, and I want to make you an honorary Southern Sasquatch sister because I have a group called Southern Sasquatch Sisters.
Oh,
And yes, ma'am. And we went on a camp trip on Mount Cheahaw in the wilderness area in November. It's first weekend in November this past year. And let me tell you,
in my life, Anita, I've never camped in my life. I always wanted to do it.
You need to go next time we go because we heard and I saw a Bigfoot. We heard them. They acted crazy all around us. Tore Lanita's. You asked Lanita. They tore her tent down around her, and finally she had to come get in the car with me because she didn't have no more tent. It was just hanging off the poles and everything. Because they were not being vicious, and I don't think they were attacking us by all means or anything, or we would have really known.
Just leave.
Curious. They wanted to see. They wanted to know us better. I had an experience that, thank God for Lanita and David Eller went with us as the expert, and then Lanita was there. We had two other ladies. And one of them's husband. So we had four ladies, and it was supposed to be girls' camp out. That's why I ordered a portable shower / bathroom that was pink. So it was a ladies' camp out. So anyway, I like to make things fun. Now I think they were just curious about us all weekend. I think they wanted to know us better. By watching us. There were several times when we had things happen. We heard noises that seemed like maybe a bird, but it was at night, and it did not sound like any bird I've ever heard, but it sounded like a bird call of some kind. There were no other people around us. For most of the weekend, there were no other campers, and there were like 6 camp spots. Was close to the lake, and it was a wilderness area. There was nothing there, and we went the weekend that they closed the bathroom down the hill, so we didn't even get that. But I brought 6 jugs of distilled water, and I said, "Okay, guys, everybody gets a jug. You do with it what you want to. You bathe, you drink it, whatever you want to do." So that's what we did.
How many days?
Take it, ma'am.
You stayed how many days?
We stayed Friday night, Saturday night, and came back Sunday.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty good.
But we had David put out some lights. Yeah, I know. Take a spit bath, as my grandmother used to say. She'd say, "Take an airplane bath, wings and tail." But anyway, but we had some lights out there. David had put some lights out there. The strobe kind of lights and flashlights and some 2 lights. And at one point, the lights came together and it looked like someone was holding one on top of the other. And we saw the form of whatever was behind it, and it looked just like a Bigfoot form. Now, nobody was back there. Nobody was around us. Everybody had left by that time. And then all of a sudden, we were watching the lights, and all of a sudden, I saw a Bigfoot, definitely, more light on this area, lean over to that one that was holding the lights. And I said, before I could say, "There's one right there. Did you see him?" He was gone. Mm-hmm. But I did see one, and that was, and you can't take pictures that fast because, and funny thing is, you've heard that they mess with your equipment when you get out on site. Well, my phone, I would charge it up to at least 90 during the day. At night, by the time darkness fell. Within an hour, it was down to 10. What was draining my battery so much? You know, I don't know. It drained Lanita's phone. She has stories to tell too, and you need to have her on here one night if she'll do it. She's real shy about that, but she has some stories to tell. But we had a blast. I mean, just we had success. But the last night, the girl named Janice had to leave and go to work the next morning, so she left by 7:00 that night. 6:00, 7:00, and the couple, they had their RV, but they had to go back to their RV site. They couldn't stay all night, so it was me and Lanita and David. Well, we were sitting around the campfire, and I felt something telling me to come into the woods because one of them was hurt. Now, I still don't remember everything, but I'm going to tell you what they told me happened. I remember some of it, but they zapped me. They really zapped me because I still don't remember everything. But I kept feeling like I needed to go into the woods. I kept hearing something tell me in my head, come into the woods, help us. We're hurt, or I'm hurt. And I started to get up at one point. I remember that. And I said, David asked me where I was going. I said, I have to go to the woods because one of them's hurt and he needs me to help. Now, I guess they knew I was some kind of caregiver. I don't know. But anyway, or either they were trying to entice me into the woods, one or the other. And David, he said he told me, and Lanita told me that I couldn't go in the woods. I have a little bit of a handicap on my right side, and I have to walk with a cane at times, especially over rough terrain, and I have to be real careful. And David said, you can't go in the woods, you'll fall, you don't need to do that. So, and he had told me I can't go, and Lanita said, no, we're not going to let you go in the woods. And they said they led me to the car. I wound up in the car. That's the next thing I remember. Wound up in the car and just sitting up in the driver's seat with my and the seat was leaning back, and I don't remember
missing time.
I don't remember anything else that happened. I don't even remember walking to the car with David.
I wonder if it's like missing time or something. Like if you don't remember it.
I don't know. It is for me because I don't remember it. Next thing I remember, Lanita's beating on my window saying, let me in. Because they're tearing the tent around me. So we got in the tent. And, we got in the car and locked the doors. And I gave her an extra blanket. And we let them have the tent because they didn't bother us anymore that I know of, because I didn't wake up again until the next morning. It was already morning, but,
right.
But that was weird because I still don't remember everything. But I had dreams after that for about a week of something saying, I needed you. I was hurt. And then all of a sudden it was saying, the next dreams was saying, I wasn't really hurt. I just wanted you to come to the woods.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was, that was weird. Well, I don't know what that was, but I'm an empath. And so I am easily in tune with other people's.
I was fixing to ask you what an empath was. So
empath is a person who can deeply feel emotion, or can a lot of times sense what's going on with someone, not exact thing, but know that someone's, you deeply feel things and you can sense things. The kind of person that says, well, maybe I can think of somebody at night or something, and that maybe that know that they're going through something. Next morning, call them and they say, oh yeah, how did you know? Well, a lot of times you feel things deeper.
Or people will call and say, I just had you on my mind. Are you okay? And the other one will say, I was just wishing that I could talk to you. I have something that I need. That's weird how that people know just when to call or something like
And
that.
and a lot of times I can read people a little better or read situations a little better because I'm an empath. But I guess they find that I asked them, I said, well, maybe I'm just weak-minded, but it's not that. It's just that they can tune into me, into my mind better. Now, the first time Lanita and I went out, we went out on some property that she has, or that someone has that lets her go out there. It's private property. It's right next to the Talladega National Forest. And we went out, and I got infrasounded at the end of the path when we were coming back to the car. We were probably 10 feet from the car. And I said, Lanita, I need to go back into the woods, or back into the path down back where we were. And she said, no, we're going to the car. And I felt like something was pulling me back. And so they tuned into my head then. And this was maybe not the same group, I don't know. But on the mountain, it was bad because I don't even remember all of it. So, but I knew that if I hadn't been with people, I just say that I don't know if they meant danger, but if they did, thank God, Lanita and David saved my life. But it was an experience. But the whole trip was very successful. You need to come next time. My gosh, it was great.
Y'all heard that. She invited me. So I'm going to have my first official camping experience. But now the most I've ever done is went to a church group thing, but you slept in the little buildings and the bunk beds.
This is tents, baby. This is tents and a campfire.
Okay, never have done that. And I'm excited. Thank you, and I will go. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, see, I was not scared at all. I was excited, but I was not scared. And I think they knew that I was not scared of them. They knew I meant them no harm, too, because I think they can feel you if you're threatening to them. And that's the thing. I didn't feel threatened by them either. I just didn't. I never did the whole weekend. And I just felt like they were all around us every night.
I'm sitting here when I hear something that blows my mind, it just gets me thinking. I don't know, Anita, how much you have heard about my story, but
I want to hear it.
I've done several different interviews I had, I think, 17 interviews in like 3 weeks. It was less than 3 weeks. So, I mean, I've been on different shows and all. Now it's been 20 something. I'm waiting for now Sasquatch Theory is supposed to release. I'm not quite sure what day, but they are supposed to release it. I just don't know when, but that was my latest. Anyways, what was the couple that was so precious? Tex, you told me about. I did theirs last.
Is it North Alabama?
Oh, Eddie and Jen during the chat.
Yes, they were so precious. I just love Eddie and Jen. And they were my last one before Sasquatch Theory. But what I was going to tell you was, when I hear that people have had experiences and they were not in a closed-in place, like they could drive away, like I said, they didn't come near me. They didn't take one step towards me. I was in my car. The doors was locked. My puppies was over here. I was delivering court documents to a person. And it was like day 4 of me going to this house, because I had already tried it 3 previous times to serve these documents, and I couldn't catch them at home. And I thought, I'll go early in the morning. And so I went, and like I said, doors were locked, kept my flashers on. And I kept sitting there because I thought, this is like a 23-minute drive, 24-minute drive. So I'm going to try one more time. So I tried early that morning. But just to think that people have seen them without anything between them or any locked doors around them scares me to death. I don't know why. I think it's just the immense size of these things. That may be what scares me about it, because like I said, I was in a locked car, but I went into shock. I didn't feel scared like they were going to hurt me, because they just stood there. They just stepped out or appeared or whatever. When I glanced up, there they was, the first one, and it was humongous. And so I don't know if they maybe sensed that I would have never done anything, or been mean to them or anything, but I went into some kind of shock. Now, you being in the medical field, I asked Dr. William Robinson, when he come on, I asked him what was going on with me, that when I started to put my car in reverse, I kept saying, you're going to break your gear shift. You're squeezing your gear shift too tight. That's the stuff that was going through my mind. I couldn't even back out. So you being a nurse, do you know what I mean? Like, my head was not going with what my body needed to do.
I do.
And that's why I asked you about the missing time. And do you ever feel like maybe your mind is telling you to do something, but your body's not doing what?
And you could have been infrasound. I mean, you can be in a car and them outside of it and still be infrasounded. That's what you call it in it, Dex. Infrasounded.
I don't know.
A lot of people just call it zapped.
Yeah.
Well, I do sometimes. I say zapped too.
I don't. We had this discussion on our show not long ago about the whole, infrasound, and it's weird because the effects from infrasound and high EMP are a lot. They're a lot alike. So we're wondering now if, because if you throw into the messing with your equipment, the battery drains and all that kind of stuff, that's a side effect of high EMP also. So
we had EMP, was it EMP meters and everything?
Yeah.
We had everything. Everything was showing that weekend.
And see, we're wondering now if maybe it's not so much infrasound, maybe it's something, that, the EMP and
could be
that, I mean, the thing about it is we don't know. We're going to have to. It's hard to, and people don't understand. It's hard to have this equipment ready and pointed at the place where this is going to happen.
Because you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So
you don't know where it's going to happen and when and whatever.
Because we've had spectrometers out in the field, and we've had we've picked up infrasound and ultrasound at the same time, just out in random areas. So again, what we're thinking is it possible that because the Earth itself will generate those sounds and those sound waves, and will affect people in the same ways that we're talking about. So it's possible that now I'm not saying these critters don't have this ability, because that's not a realm possibility at all, because what we call normal animals have that ability. So, but we may be dealing with more natural phenomenon than we know of, along with what these critters are capable of. So it's really going to be hard to pin down what's doing it when.
But there's different thought, food for thought on a lot of different areas, and different beliefs among researchers too. That you go to one researcher and they believe this, and one researcher believe that. I'm not mad at any of them about nothing, because I know there's a lot of friction within the community. But I figure it this way, keep an open mind. Enough to say, well, I can change my mind if I hear something that I
absolutely.
And I mean, I know what I believe. I believe they're more animal and I don't know if they're a cross between human and animal, but I know they're more animal type thing and maybe spirit, But I don't believe in the UFO thing, but I don't disagree with anybody who does, because I don't know enough about UFOs. So I'm just keeping an open mind about it.
Yeah, and I saw Levon in chat. She said she had something affecting her hearing aids, and then saw two of them.
Wow.
So made her ears do like a funny vibration, almost a helicopter sound.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Again, that's a piece of equipment, a device that I've never heard of it affecting. So.
And could that be something like iron ore in the earth or something affecting that? You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't really know.
No, you
But
don't. And I mean, that's what we're all here for, is to learn.
Yeah.
And which brings me about, education and learning, which brings me to the conference.
our conference.
Yes, your
Well,
conference.
and then I'm going to tell you about where I'm going to be.
There you go.
I'm going to be at my conference in
Yeah,
June,
I hope so.
June 6th and 7th. The 6th that evening, Friday night will be a meet and greet somewhere. Right now, the restaurant's closed down for repair, so I don't know. I'm looking for a place in case. And it will be a meet and greet. You come in and buy your meal, and you meet and greet with the stars like Tex. Now that I've
let's say M.K. Davis, because I am no star. Okay.
well, all these people: M.K. Davis, Melissa Adair, David Eller, Dan Noraldo, Ryan Edwards, and I'm going to speak this year now. So this will be the first time I've spoken, and
Well, I'm excited to meet you. I can't wait.
know.
Will you go through all the where it's at, the days and all that one more time, and
It's
tell people the setup from day 1 through
June 6th and 7th. It'll be about 6 o'clock, starting 6 o'clock on Friday evening, the 6th, June 6th. It will be. I'm looking for my phone here because I'm gonna look up the poster so I can tell you the address. Well, you can go to the website and see it. But anyway, it'll be the 6th. Will be a meet and greet at some restaurant, and we'll post that before time for that to happen. We'll let y'all know. Huh?
The address is 100 Gamecock Drive in Anniston, Alabama.
Okay, spell that.
Gamecock, like Jacksonville State. Gamecock.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. This year we're having the permission from Jacksonville State to use one of their buildings, and
wow.
they're really excited about this. So they're kind of giving us their go ahead and approval, and I think that's the most wonderful thing in the world.
It is,
because I love Jacksonville State. And I even have a story about that, but I won't share it tonight, but I'll share it at the conference.
Will you share anything you want to? We're so glad you're here. We're so happy.
But anyway, in the 7th will be an all-day conference. It'll open the doors at 9 o'clock for the general public. They'll be able to come in and look at the tables, whether they buy a ticket to the conference part or not. The conference is in an auditorium. It will be start at about 10 or 10:30. I'm still wondering about that. So, but and then it'll go till about 5:30 or 6. So we've got a lot of good speakers. We've got vendors. I don't know who's coming yet, but I'm hoping. And if you have a vendor table and you want to come, we want you, because we want tons of different things that the general public will be in there shopping for Christmas, for birthdays, and every other occasion, or just for fun. And that'll be a cool thing, is the general public can come in and shop and not have to go to the conference, although we want them to. Yes. Children come in for a lesser price than adults. So we're on Eventbrite now. Alabama Bigfoot Conference. Our website will take you to, it'll lead you to Eventbrite for tickets. But
okay,
the website is,
Anita?
How much? I think they're $35, if I'm not mistaken, for adults.
35 and 25.
And 25 for children. If you have a big family and you have about 6 kids, I might give you a real good discount. So you just have to see me. But I'm real excited about this one. This will be our 4th time.
It'll be the first. I'm excited.
I'm excited for a lot of reasons. One reason is because a big TV star who's in Bigfoot arena and community told me that I'd never make it the first year.
Yep.
We're on our 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying,
well, let's just pray for the person that said that, because that was very negative. Okay. So anyways, I am First of all, I'm so happy you're here because, like I said, I had
Thank
heard from
you.
not just Lanita and Tex, but other people have mentioned, that how awesome you are. And
Oh,
anyways, and then of course how precious your heart is. That's really the thing that they were trying to. Each person has told me,
well,
and I
I'm gonna tell you how I got this started. This conference started. It's because of other people is the reason I got it started. I went up to a conference after these guys started telling me when I started telling my story to them. I went up to from Alabama. I chose the Michigan conference in Ann Arbor of all the places. But I enjoy flying and traveling and doing things like that by myself. So I went up. It's kind of scary, but I still loved it. And went up and just had a ball. Got to meet Ken, got to meet Cliff, got to meet Adam Davies, and a bunch of great people up there. So I went up there, and I looked around. I asked a lot of questions to the ladies who they just took me in. The ladies that from Michigan who were helping with the conference, and in fact, they would tell everybody, you guys come over here and listen to her talk. So it was always, you listen to her talk for them.
I tell people all the time, I said, look, it wasn't me that named myself Southern Belle. Somebody else suggested it and said I sounded like Southern Belle. Would you call yourself Southern Belle Bigfoot? And I said, why, sure. It's just silly enough to be cute.
Well, I used to have a good radio voice when I was in broadcasting, but now it's back where it was with being all around Southern people. So that's where I'm from. That's where I was born and bred. So the conference, I thought, well, I can do this. I've done tons of community planning and community events and church events and all my days, And so I said, I can do this. I can do this, but I didn't know how hard it was. Arranging to get the speakers, making sure that they were flown out, getting their plane tickets, getting their ways, getting all this stuff. And I'm still not good at it, but I am learning. Every year I learn. But getting hotel for all of them and all that stuff.
My goodness, that is so awesome that you do all that.
But the reason I started thinking about doing a conference in East Central Alabama, is because I was a hospice nurse, and I would go into homes, and they saw the back of my phone, which I've got a different one now, but the back of my phone has a Bigfoot on it. And they saw the back of it, and they said, you like Bigfoot? Well, let me tell you what happened. And so they would tell me the stories. It was a rural route of 3 counties, and you'll know which counties I'm talking about: Clay, Cleburne, and Randolph. Mm-hmm. And so, and part of Calhoun. But they would, and Talladega too. I've been in there. And so these people would tell me stories about Bigfoot. They stole my chickens, or they used to hit the side of the house when they wanted us to notice them. They would get in, come all through my yard. They were always down by the creek calling each other and all this stuff. And I just, I felt like, this is a part of life. This is a way of life for these people. This is just everyday stuff. They don't talk about it. They only talk to me because they know me as a nurse, and they kind of open up to me.
Yeah, they wouldn't judge them or something.
Yeah, and they saw it on my phone. Yeah. And so it was real to them because they lived it every day. Yeah. And so I got to thinking, nobody knows their story. Nobody, who are they telling their story to? And so this is a way that people could be educated that never was around it. And people who are around it all the time and just live it every day, they could come in and talk about it to people. Mm-hmm. And so it has been really good so far. We have had a blast. The first year I made a lot of mistakes, but it was so good. It was fun. We had probably a little over 250 people the first year.
Yep. And
Tex came, and his bunch, I swear, everybody said, you got to get those guys from Texas back. They're crazy. But we have had to have it in a different location every year because we've not found a home yet. But I think maybe after this year we found a home. I think so. It was not an accident. I believe it was divine intervention that led me to this place. And so we have had a good time talking about it. These guys were so fascinated with me talking about what we were going to do. And it's going to be good this year.
Yeah.
We've had in the past, first year we had Cliff and we had the Texas guys there, and we had Ken and Charlie Raymond from Kentucky, and then we had the second year we had Adam Davies. We've had
this is the second time Melissa Adair has been there.
do what now?
This
Yeah,
is the
Melissa
second time
Adair.
Melissa Adair has been there.
She was there the first year, and now we've got her
Yep.
back. And she's from Atlanta, but she goes out camping all the time and Bigfooting. And I'm excited. She was so good the first year, and I know she's had different things happen since then. And so I try to pick very good quality people who are not controversial. Last year we had Martin Groves.
Yep.
What a story. And Barton Nunley and Tex was our MC.
MK Davis. I have such respect for MK Davis. I think he's awesome.
So nice. Every time I talk to him on the phone, it's like I've known him all my life, just really down to earth. But last year, we had somebody I was going to think of, and I can't think.
Hey, guess who's in the chat? Dale Boswell's in the chat.
Hey, Dale. Dale's going to be there.
It's blurry.
Dale's going to be there. He's got a booth. He's going to be storytelling.
Hey, everybody.
He's going to be our storyteller out in the vendors, and I know he's going to be great.
I just thought he was the most humble person. Don't get me started on how sweet and humble Dale Boswell and his wife was. I just think they're precious people.
I bet they are. I haven't met them, but I'm so excited about meeting them. I haven't met many of these people that are coming this year, but I'm so excited about it. And I've met Ryan every year. Bless his heart. He's stuck it out as a vendor, and now, man, he's hitting the circuit. And I'll tell you, I'm so proud of him.
Yeah. He just released his third book not long ago. So, I mean, he's, 23, 24 years old. I mean, man, it's awesome.
Well, I guess I'm getting my first experience at speaking this year because I've got a conference I'm speaking at in Kentucky, Paducah, Kentucky, on May 16th and 17th. It's the Atomic City Paranormal Symposium, and it's more of a paranormal. That means the whole thing across the board, and I'm excited about it. I'm getting to tell a lot about my other paranormal experiences, like meeting serial killers and things. I've met 3, and
3.
And, yes, ma'am.
One would be plenty for me. Are you kidding
me?
3 serial.
I mean, one was when
all from Alabama. Girl.
Yeah, well, Alabama's full of them.
Yeah.
But I'm serious. And met one of them's daughter that I'm not even talking about her, but one of them's daughter, and I interviewed her and got to meet her. So that was an experience. But I've had paranormal investigate. I mean, they did a paranormal investigation. I was along for the ride at the Crest in Anniston, which is an old dime store, and it's been there Prohibition days and all that stuff. And
beautiful building. Yes.
They've refurbished it, and I had contact. I was sitting on the stage, and all of a sudden, I felt something gently move up my arm, like that someone was touching me, move around me, and then move down the other arm, like they were touching me gently down the other arm. And I asked the guy that one of the guys that owns it, I was sitting on the stage, and we were listening to this music from the period. I think it was the 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I said, is there a ghost in here or spirit in here that loves the ladies? He said, oh yeah. And I said, well, I think I just felt him.
Are you sure it wasn't the one that tried to kiss you twice?
No, it wasn't him. But you got a good point there. I go and she
Then she made a ghost jealous and it pinched her. So yeah.
Oh, but when
pinched?
I was talking to this spirit, that was there, and I said, oh, if we were if you were here, we could dance all night and beautiful a ball gown and tux, and we could dance all night and just enjoy this beautiful music. And then I stopped talking to him and I walked over because they dimmed the lights and we were going to do the paranormal investigation. They were going to go on live. Well, right when they started to go on live, all of a sudden I felt this sharp thing just go in the middle of my back and just twist hard as it could. And it felt like a lady's sharp fingernail. And then all of a sudden, all night, I felt little pinches going down my arms. Well, I said, ow, like that. And was it Kristen, I think, was doing the broadcast?
Kristen, yeah.
And she said, what? I said, I felt a sharp fingernail go into my back. And when I got back to the hotel, I always stay at the hotel with the speakers because if something happened, I'm a nurse, maybe I could do something, or at least I could find help for them. And I'd be right there where my people are, even though I live 6 miles.
Love your personality. I love your personality.
Even though I live 6 miles from it, And when I got back to the hotel that night, when I took my shirt off, I had blood blisters all the way down my arms where something had pinched me all the way down my arms. So she didn't like it because I was talking to her man.
Jealous.
Yeah. But that was interesting. But I've had ghost experiences. Like I was in a house one time as a nurse visit, and I went to the kitchen and put the meds out on the table so I could count them and all that stuff. And when I turned around going down the hall, I saw something behind me move. And the lady was in bed, and there was nobody else in the house. And I said, is this an old family house? And she said, yes. And so whoever was there was still there. Whoever lived there was still there. And I kept seeing that thing when I turned around that was like a person. So I'm sure it was a spirit from their family from the past.
And it couldn't have been the patient because they were bedridden, right?
Right. So, and her daughter was at work, so that was who lived there, and it was a unique thing. And I've had a lot of different things go on. I've had angel encounters and things like that. So, but I just feel blessed that I've been through a lot of things like that. I used to
from human.
Angel. I used to be playing in the woods when I was a little girl, and I would see balls of light. Now I know those are orbs, but see, I didn't know that then.
Yeah, I'm learning every day. There's something different to learn, And I have a lot of people that questions me saying things such as don't get so far into, your Bigfoot sighting and your experience. Don't get away from your Christianity.
Right.
And stop going to church oh my gosh, today I was listening to preaching and it was breaking my heart that I wasn't able to go. It just broke my heart because, I'm such a believer and I know how important today was. And so anyways, last year it was unbelievable at my church, New Hope Baptist Church in Glencoe. But anyways, it was just unbelievable last year. So this year I just kept reenacting in my mind. I was trying to listen to the preacher on TV and I was at work and I was trying to recreate last year and the feeling I had. And I thought if people could just see what was in my mind, and they have no idea how close I am to the lower. So the creature that I seen, the small one beside it that I still can't figure out, the ones that appeared in the pictures once I got home and looked at all the pictures. Because I don't know if you, like I said, heard all my story, but I started when I seen the big one and the small one. I went click, 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 and I did just in case something was behind me, And like I said, I scared to get out of my car. They had a big black dog, and I had a knee replacement. So anyways, I basically was hoping they'd come out and say, can I help you? Is basically what kind of serve I was going to try to do and go home and have made some money, But that ain't what happened. So anyways, basically, I have people questioning me all the time about don't get away from the Lord
Right.
because of your.
And you don't have to.
And I'm like, what do you? I seen
You
something
don't have to.
that had hair and it was humongous. Then I seen something that had hair that was small.
Well, you've got a lot of people in churches that don't really believe what I do is right, but I'm not going to get so far that I'm not going to stay with the Lord, you know, because I know that you know, I know where I've been, I know what I've done, I know that
Right.
I'm saved. I know I'm saved.
To the
I'm a Christian, but in my speech, I'll tell you, just case in point, I've been distracted all for the last 2 months trying to write what I was going to say in Kentucky, which is the same thing I'm going to do down at my conference.
Right.
But the reason is because dark forces have fought against me, because I'm going to be telling people about you better either pray or pray or you're going to pay before you go into a paranormal situation. Even like when we were on the mountain, and I'm going to switch gears here, but even when we were on the mountain, we prayed, you know, each day before our experiences. We prayed over our meals at night. We prayed. And some people don't pray like that. Well, whatever thing that keeps you from darkness is what you've got to do. Because when you go in, and don't take it lightly when you're going into a paranormal situation, like a haunted house or a place that, you know, graveyard, whatever it is that situation you're going to, because you don't know. It is a serious thing. It can be fun, but it is a serious thing too, because you need to make sure that nothing latches on to you and you take it home with you. So whether you use a rosary prayer, whatever you do, you better do it. And you better do it going in, and you better do it going out, because that's how you keep safer. And you better be sincere about it. And I'm not preaching, but that's the thing you've got to do. Because from the crest up there, I had that man latched on to me, and I took him home. I told Tex about this.
Yeah.
Everything was so dark and gloomy in the place I was staying, my mom's house down there. And I just felt this doom and gloom feeling for about 2 weeks after that. Finally, I said, I bet I brought something home with me. And I talked to Tex about it. And he said, well, you're going to have to get rid of that. And he told me, we talked about it a little bit. But I prayed, and I went out and I said, look, now, you don't belong here. And in the name of Jesus, you've got to leave. This is not your place. And I'm not being ugly to you. I'm just telling you, this is not your home. Go back to where you were or somewhere else, because you can't stay here. And I was firm about it, and you've got to do that. You got to make sure in the first place you don't bring it home with you, because it can affect your life. It can affect your kids. It can affect your pets, and pets do pick up on that stuff.
Well, of course, Satan is going to try to attack somebody when he knows that they're the Lord's.
But this thing, getting back that conference that I'm going to, I'm going to be talking about, making sure you don't have a hitchhiker and things like that. And dark forces do not want me to talk about that, because they're going to try to keep me from it. So I haven't been able to concentrate and put it down on paper, so to speak, or on my phone when I'm typing in, for 2 months now. I should have already had this written, because it is my first one, and I should have already had it written, but I couldn't think. And it was because I had forces distracting me. And now I've got it written. And but that's the thing. You've got to make sure that if you do these kind of things, which I don't want to do paranormal investigations all the time, because that's not my thing, but I don't feel comfortable with it either. So, but when I do go, I'm going to pray before. I might pray a lot during the middle, depending on what happens. And I'm going to pray before I leave because I don't want it hitchhiking home with me again.
Right.
God, to think of something attaching itself to you.
And it might not have been so nice as this one was. It might have been something evil, very evil, the next time. So I don't want it home with me.
I rented a house in 2022. It was on Madison Avenue in Gadsden. And when we first pulled up, the lady that owned the house got out and met me there. And we pulled in, and she got out of her car, and she apologized immediately and told us to ignore what was on the front porch, that there was a squatter that had left her stuff at this house, and that she pulled it all outside and laid it on the porch, hoping the squatter would come and grab all her stuff off the porch. She said, whoever it was, she don't know if it was a male or female, they had, found the stuff inside the house, which was supposed to be empty, and that it was a squatter. Well, anyway, so here we go. We found a purse, found a female's name, and then this box of ashes with a name on it. Well, it said what funeral home it come from. It was, you know which one I'm talking about in Jacksonville, has a K and a L in it.
Yeah.
Anyways, and so it had the name and that it was this person, and I thought, Lord of mercy. Well, anyways, they grabbed it and was going to throw it away, and I said, whoa, do not throw anybody in the garbage can, because that's what it is. That's somebody's family member. Don't throw them in the garbage. That would be horrible for somebody to take my ashes and throw my ashes in their garbage and be hauled to the landfill, And I said, don't do that. And so I took it and set this black box with somebody's ashes in it under that tree, huge tree in the front yard. And I just kept it right there. So whoever drove by could, would look down and see that black box under the tree. And it was there a year later. They had never come back to get it.
Well, you just never know what is attached to things.
I wasn't going to throw them ashes away. I'd be
see these
forever.
You see these things online where people go and they dig up these boxes and stuff, and they don't know what's in it. And they say, oh, there's a bone, there's a piece of hair, there's all this stuff in this box. And I'm thinking, leave it alone. There's a curse on it. And, I got to thinking about familiar curses, family curses, and how it may be things that keep happening in a family because great-great-grandma used to cast spells. Even though these people are doing right and not doing that anymore, great-great-grandma may have been one to try to cast spells or try to mix potions and give them to people and stuff like that. And who knows what was back in the family. Like, I know somebody that I knew was cleaning out their attic, and they found a membership of one of their great-great-great-grandpeople who was in the KKK.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
And so they got rid of that and prayed over their house, because what an evil thing to have, known about your family, and you never knew it, So who knows what kind of a curse was put on your family because of that thing that this person back in your family did. So you have to, and that may be why people have these familial curses on their family, and things just keep happening.
I get so embarrassed when I even think about the crazy stuff that generations did years ago. I'm embarrassed to even have known anybody that was involved in any kind of mess like that. But anyway.
So when things keep happening, the best thing to do is, get in there. Let's do some hands-on praying and whatever, and get rid of this mess, because you don't want your descendants to keep on having these difficulties because great-great-grandma was crazy, or great-great-grandma was doing weird stuff, or grandpa or whatever was doing real weird stuff. You want to make sure that the evil that was created by that, or the curse that was created by that, is lifted, is broken. And there are ways to do that, and so it's interesting to think about. So
It's all of it is interesting to me because, like I said, people are on me hot and heavy right now, especially saying that my focus has went from me going to church and I said, well, first of all, you got to remember that I'm working a lot, with the 20 something hours a day or whatever, 24 hours, 32 hours at one time. So like this morning, I got home a little after 11 and I thought I should have just walked in the way I looked. Hair in a ponytail, no makeup. I should have just walked in. And that would be the thing that, of course, everybody would tell you to do, but you don't want to do that. But I think, pulled it, what was it, 72 hours straight. And so, like I said, I was so glad to be home and still haven't slept yet. So, yes, I'm delirious.
Well, right now you're wired.
I had to cut on preaching because it was bothering me really bad. So the people that, I'm saying this to the people that haven't actually asked me questions in case they watch this. My heart and mind is, I know where I'm going, and hopefully I'll be joining you one of these days in heaven. And I'm telling you right now that my focus is where it needs to be. I'm working a lot. So I'm speaking to somebody in particular that has asked me, why am I focused right now on so much Bigfoot and not showing up for church? So y'all know I love the Lord. My heart is where it needs to be. Don't worry about me.
That's it. Where is your heart? And you know where your heart is, and God knows where your heart is. You see,
Right.
So that's the important thing. And say I hadn't been to church since COVID started and they closed churches because I've been staying with Mama, okay, a lot. And now I think it's more. She won't go to church because she's afraid she's gonna get COVID. Okay, you got that thing in her mind.
Right.
So she's 88. And she'll be 89 next month. And I'm going to tell you something. I would rather stay home and be with her than her be alone. And we can praise the Lord and we can worship and I can sing. In fact, my little dog sings with me when I sing on Sunday morning to the church service we're watching. So we all sing. But, I'd rather be with her. That's quality time that I need. She's not going to be around forever. And like I said, she's 88. She's fixing to be 89. I'm going to stay with her. And people can say what they want to. And I didn't want to go to church today because I'd be one of those people that just go on Easter and Christmas, So I just stayed with her today and I enjoyed the day with her.
Well, Anita, we know we always, like I said, people are going to judge us if we show up every day in church.
Don't worry about it.
But that's what I'm saying. So my heart is good. Your heart is good. What people, you'll know the tree by the fruit it bears.
The people that I used to work with, people I've worked with the last 2 or 3 jobs, they knew that I hunted Bigfoot. They knew that I researched. They knew that I had the experiences. Now, I'm sure that some of them talked about me behind my back like I was a fool. But I know what I saw. I know what I've done. I know what's real and what's not. And they can talk about me all they want to. I don't care. I don't care, because I know what I've done and what I've seen. And that's okay with me. And they can judge me all they want to. I do not care. And Selena, you got to get a hard skin on you, girl. In that way.
I'm right now dealing with a lot. Because, this just happened August the 7th, 24. Yeah. So I'm just saying that date will never exit my mind because it was something that I thought didn't exist. And I just remember not even thinking I couldn't function. Like my mind was saying, hurry, get out of here, hurry, because I had never seen something so big in my life. But yet I couldn't get my gift shift. I was scared I was breaking it. That's what my mind was. I think it was that shock thing, some kind of shock.
It could have been. And the thing is, you're doing what you need to do. Don't worry about it.
But anyways, that was the question that I've got hit with in the last couple of weeks is we're wondering where your head is now and where your heart is because you're not in church every Sunday and every Wednesday. Well, I'm working like a Trojan because, like I said, trying to get all the hours I can. And I am just telling you, I have blessings coming, big, big blessings that people don't even know that I'm working towards. And so I only have a limited amount of time to do that. And so I don't think it's fair for people to judge right now. And they do watch. They are in chat. The people
fair or not, they're going to.
So it don't matter if you go to church on every Sunday, every Wednesday, and 5 times every day. It don't matter. You're going to get judged one way or another because people don't want to admit that these things are real. Right. But they're going to see soon enough. I mean, their families are growing. These things
I know they're real.
Traveling, they're
you know they're real. Texas Sam.
No, and I can't wait for other people to see that.
Well, like I said, all I can do is educate. And ask you to keep an open mind and just educate. That's all I can do. That's mainly what my conference is for, is education. Of course, I have a heck of a lot of fun with it too, and meeting people and things like that. We've got people that come back year after year, and thank you. We appreciate you so much. We love it. I've found friends that Texas, my brother, I never knew I had. and I mean, I've got brothers and sisters in this thing that I never knew I had. So, that's worth it to me. I used to have real thin skin. And at first now I felt so guilty when I didn't go to church because I was on call. I couldn't help it. But when I was on call for nursing, I had to take call the whole weekend, and I felt so guilty, and I said, I can't help this. This is my job. God gave me that job to support myself and to give me food on my table. So I'm tired of feeling guilty about it. And finally, I just had to say, well, I'm on call this weekend. I can't come.
And your heart and mind is right there in the congregation with them. Like you're actually thinking and picturing yourself sitting there. So I love the Lord, and I will tell anybody that any day. I said, look, if people, like they said in the Bible, that they killed and took their life for admitting they're Christians, go ahead and kill me, because I'm going to shout it to the rooftops that I'm a Christian. But I'm just saying, it has nothing to do with my sighting. Yes, I'm a Christian, but these things are real. And you can be a Christian and there be Bigfoots.
Yeah.
So people, we're going to find out these things are real. Give the scientists, time to run this DNA, and the doctors and the scientists that are doing all this all the testing. It's a matter of time before they come out and say, okay, we finally did find this body. They're going to come out. I think they actually already know. The government knows these things are real.
And we've got another guest behind you.
She's trying to tell her. She's trying to tell her that it's time to go. Is what she's doing.
You see, I've got Safari and talking about the Lord. But yes, that's right. We said it's a 1-hour show.
Wow.
Because of just being respectful to other people that has 8 o'clock shows, and I've met some precious people. But is there any last minute information that you want to tell everybody, Anita? And we've had a ball talking to you, girl.
Oh, thank you for asking me, and I love both of y'all. I can't wait to meet you in person. June 6th and 7th, 7th all day at the JSU campus at McClellan, and you can go on Alabama Bigfoot Conference.com, and it'll direct you to Eventbrite to get your tickets.
Okay, BamaBigfoot.com.
And where are you going to be speaking at?
Vendors.
And where are you going to be speaking at?
The Atomic City Paranormal Symposium in Paducah, Kentucky, on the 16th and 17th of May.
Oh, your glasses are so cute.
Okay.
One more thing, Anita. You ask about vendors. I keep hearing you say vendors. How much does it cost to set up and be a vendor?
It's a $75 fee.
Okay.
You get 2 tickets, 2 chairs, and a big table.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
For
want
some
everybody, crafters. I mean, people who are crafters, like, if you can fit it in your little area there with and everything, then we want you to come. And if you want to, I might slip and give you another table if you've got a real big booth.
Oh my
It
goodness.
just depends. You
Even
got
people that make cookies, Selena.
That's what I was
people that make
thinking.
cookies,
I swear that's what I
cupcakes,
was thinking.
donuts. I mean, we accept funnel cake. We will have probably a food truck if I can get them scheduled. We're gonna have a food truck out in the front.
That is awesome. That is awesome. But yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, Tex. He was reading my mind. Isn't that crazy? Is my chocolate peanut butter oatmeal cookies. Everybody loves them.
I love those. You don't bake them, you boil them.
Oh, yeah. You boil them for 3 minutes. You can't go on. You can't go over.
Yes.
So isn't that something? Tex, see what I mean?
See, it's paranormal. It's mind reading.
You did read my mind. Okay. Oh my gosh, Anita, thank you so much for coming. And y'all, happy Easter. And you know where my heart is because I love everybody. Everybody in chat that I hadn't even read the messages. Barbara, oh y'all, Lavon, Lanita, everybody out there. Mark, oh my gosh, Mark Green, hey. Hines, I can't even see Lavon, precious. All right, Barbara, Mara, love y'all so much. Anita, thank you so much. Tex, as always, let me tilt my hat to you.
See you in June.
He's a lifesaver. Yes, don't forget June. I got all the dates wrote down and all the information wrote down. I'm going to put it in order and then do a couple shows here and yonder and throw this information in. Anyways, thank you, Anita Collier. You are awesome. Thank you, Tex. I love everybody. Okay. Hey, Keith. Hey, Leisha. Hey, Lanita. Bye, everybody.
Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all later.